I'm Eric Dahlstrom, and I'm the paddle sports coordinator for Five Rivers MetroParks. And we're standing here on the edge of the beautiful Great Miami River at Taylorsville Metro Park. Now there's a couple of things you should do before you get out in the river. You should do some research. Talk to local outfitters, retailers about what to expect when you get out on the river. Talk to local law enforcement agencies like Five Rivers MetroParks about regulations for where you're going to paddle. Find out where the hazards are on the river. Do some weather research. Find out what's the weather forecast. What's typical weather you'll find at this time of year? And what's the water level? Is it going to be deep enough for you to go paddle? Or is it going to be too deep with too much flow that it's too dangerous to get out and paddle? And then take all that information and put it together in a float plan. And a float plan is a piece of paper that you leave with someone who cares, a family member, a friend, that if you get into trouble, they can help you get help. A float plan will have the names, telephone numbers, and emergency contacts for everyone that's on the trip. Boats, vehicles that are on the trip, emergency access points along the river, where you're going to put on, where you're taking off, when you're going to start paddling, when you're going to get back, and all that kind of great stuff. Make sure you are safe out on the water. Ways to do this include dress for safety. Consider the air and water temperatures, and if they do not add up to 120 degrees, you need to at least be wearing a wetsuit or a dry suit. Consider bringing some other clothes in a dry bag as well. Also have good shoes that will stay on your feet and protect your feet if you have to stand in the water. And always dress to get wet. All paddlers are in between swims. As I mentioned before, you need to consider boating and other laws. It is your responsibility to check with local law enforcement to find out which laws apply to you and your type of paddlecraft. All boats must be registered with the Ohio Department of Natural Resources. You must have a life jacket on board for every person. And if under 10 years of age, you must be wearing the life jacket. But no matter what, life jackets don't work if you don't wear them, so please wear your life jacket. With all the sleek and stylish and comfortable options out there, why not? You also need to have some type of sound signaling device, and my favorite is a plastic peeless whistle. Also, please never boat under the influence of alcohol or drugs, and be considerate of private landowners' wishes, and never get out on private land without the owner's permission. There are some other things we need to think about before we get out on the river, and that's what kind of equipment to bring with us. We of course need our boat. We need paddles for all the paddlers. And it's always a good idea to bring along a spare paddle as well, just in case the paddle gets broken while you're out. But you should also think about having a throw bag, so you can throw it to help someone out who's in trouble. Absolutely need a life jacket for each person, and you should be wearing that life jacket. And it's a really good idea for each life jacket to have a whistle, and maybe even think about having some kind of knife so you can cut yourself out of trouble if you were to get wrapped up in fishing line or in that throw rope. Also bring a first aid kit and CPR mask and put them inside of a dry bag. It's also a really good idea, no matter what time of year you're out, to bring along some spare clothes and a hat. So that way you can get warmed up if you get wet and have to stay out longer than expected. Rain jacket's always a really good idea. Perhaps some repair items like nuts and bolts for your glasses and for your boat. Duct tape and knives are also really handy. Some sun protection like a nice wide brim hat. Make sure you have navigation equipment like your map and compass. Have plenty of drinking water. Have snacks. Bring a headlamp. And of course consider dry proofing everything with a dry box, a dry bag, or some sort of bags like Ziplocs or Glad bags to keep everything dry. While on and off the water, please consider the leave no trace principles, like disposing of waste properly. Camp and travel on durable surfaces like rock, sand, and the water. Take only pictures and leave only paddle strokes in the water. Clean your gear between different bodies of water so you do not take invasive species like rock snot and zebra mussels from one body of water to the next. Minimize campfire impacts and know the local regulations to whether you're allowed to even have a fire or not in that spot. Respect wildlife by keeping a distance and not feeding it. And be considerate of other users, especially fishermen. Give them a wide berth and let nature's sounds prevail.